The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carnival of Randomness. Zach's there somewhere, right?
I'm still here.
Yeah. It's summer in Rochester, so in about a week it'll snow. But for now, it's kind of a really fun time to go out and check out some music. And there's so much, there's a regular, whatever one of those things are you have at Thanksgiving, the thing with all the fruit and stuff in them, you know, one of those with all the different kinds of bands you could see.
The cornucopia.
Yeah. Veritable cornucopia.
Veritable.
Music. And one of the best ones you can go check out, plays all over, great, incredible stuff, Brian Lindsay.
Good morning,
and
fellas.
along with Brian, though, we have right from his high school band all the way till now, Greg Andrews.
Woo! Hi.
Did you play with some guy in high school named Andy?
From Andy Calabrese, high school. But
Andy
yes.
Calabrese, yeah.
Oh.
Many a jam in the band room to Sly and the Family Stone.
So shout out to Andy, who's in the control room right now.
He doesn't want us to tell anybody that, though.
Oh, really?
He's embarrassed to be associated with us sometimes.
Well, you can cut. Maybe you can cut that out of the interview.
What did it post?
But Brian, tell us a little bit about, for people, the few people who don't know out there in podcast land, not radio land. What's about your band?
Yeah, podcast land. Good morning, podcast people. Yeah, we're kind of a, I guess, roots rock, Americana style, classic rock band, perhaps. I mean, it's hard to pigeonhole these days because you do so many different styles, and one week you're Americana and the next week they'll call you something completely different, and so it's kind of hard to keep up. But I would just say that we're like the the singer-songwriter kind of vein. I've got 3 records out on the GFI label out in Ontario, Tony Gross's GFI label. And we got a new single out here we did last year as well. So good old-fashioned rock and roll, all the elements of the, soul and rock and roll and singer-songwriter, that's our vibe.
I have to say, your last album, which has got the great title here, The Monkey, the
Tango and the Boogaloo, yeah.
Yes, it was voted by City one of the best albums of the year.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. I cut the ad out.
Oh, I missed that one. Send that to me so I can.
It was. No, it's got a hype I read about. You didn't even know that.
You need to read the paper more, dude.
No, you don't. Because why go with
that's why I got Greg. I just hope he sends me stuff like that.
You're at everything too, Greg. I see you this and that. It's like there's a law. I think in Rochester you have to be in more. I mean, you played with the Mighty High and Dry. You were on one of their songs, Brian.
Yes, I did. I played on with a song with them, and it was also Dee Ponder played on it, and it was called "I Was Living Here," and it's a fantastic song. Alan Murphy's an awesome songwriter and performer, and we did that out at GFI one night. We just came out and showed me my parts, and bam, and they made a video that is just fantastic, and they've got a lot of hits on that, and he's doing well. He's a great songwriter, which is it's just as due. He'll go far with his talents.
Your music, though, I actually use the term roots sometimes. Roots,
yeah.
Because I get the terms mixed up. I don't even remember when I was in the 90s, I really first heard Americana. I would think stuff like the Jayhawks, alt country.
Right. Yes.
And I hear I hear some Springsteen in your song, especially East Side of the River.
Yeah. I definitely have heard that a lot, and, full disclosure, he was, an influence on my songwriting. And again, it was all the singer-songwriters, the Bob Dylans, the Tom Pettys, the Bruce Springsteens, even Jagger Richards, McCartney and Lennon, all those big songwriters are I study them, Elvis Costello, Tom Petty's, all those guys.
Oh, yeah, I hear a lot of Petty.
Yeah, I just, I gravitated toward them and
big thing about
ripped as much
Springsteen,
off
he
as
was
I could
never
from him.
hugely popular in Rochester for the longest time. I remember actually following all this. The River Tour was the first time he sold out the War Memorial. It was big, but he never did really that great here. It's amazing to think that.
Yeah, I remember seeing him, back in the late 70s here. Just a friend asked me if I wanted to go, and I wasn't really a huge fan. I knew a few of his songs and all that. And, God, I'm going to say it was 78. And he had an extra ticket, and I said, all right, I'll go. And ended up going to the show, and it was like quarter full of people. And
Batman showed up.
He's coming through the rafters.
And it was an awesome show. It really was.
That's why we were random.
It was something that I've never seen before.
He's played
with the
what does he
band,
do?
so.
Like those shows are marathons.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah. And and since then, I just I like the performance style and obviously his songwriting.
How'd you get into yourself to get into playing and everything? I always ask this question in
Yeah.
terms of how did you get into the whole muse biz?
Well, yeah, growing up, my mom was a singer and she played piano, so I kind of gravitated towards that, and I took some music lessons. I'm dating myself a little bit here, but there's a place in East Rochester. Greg probably might remember this, called Properzi's Music Store.
Oh yeah.
And I lived lived in Penfield, so I was right around the corner. So I took drum lessons, believe it or not, at Properzi's for a while, and down in this dingy basement. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to play drums, and I would go in there and.
But then you had a brain, so you didn't play drums.
Yeah,
Ooh, shots fired.
You've heard all the
drummer jokes today.
You've heard all the drummer jokes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Bada boom.
what's the guy who hangs out with the band? A drummer.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Four musicians and a drummer.
Yeah. But still, I think the drums,
without
the
the
drums
drummer,
are the
we can't- we-
backbones of the band, though.
Well, and without the drummer, how could we get the rim shot for really funny jokes like
That's
that?
right. true.
It would just be
a talent
silence.
that cannot be denied.
Yeah. So I started out with that, and then it wasn't happening for me. It didn't seem like it was exactly what I wanted, and I ended up turning to acoustic guitar, and from there to electric guitar, and then when the explosion of all the singer-songwriters, I said, oh, I can do that, like it's a fool. I said, yeah, I can do that, and. Basically, since a teenager, I just kept grinding away.
How is that in terms of the satisfaction level of doing covers versus doing your original stuff where you're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Great
and
question.
I wrote that. I always think that because I always thought, like, I write, and most of the stuff I write's pretty bad, like most things would be. But every now and then you'll do something, and go, man, I wrote that?
Yeah, great question. Again, I call myself a grinder only because it's, I don't know if I don't come up with it like a lot of guys do right off the cuff. I do more, I guess, these days. Just maybe learn to what to chase down and what not to. But the satisfaction part of doing your own thing, is a lot.
But you have a style.
It's a lot more satisfaction doing your own thing, and if it goes over well and it's a good song and people appreciate it, then absolutely, you can carry it with you forever.
I can speak from that. One of my best friends, he's been playing since we were in high school, so 2 years. But wink, nobody can see what we look like. So he started, and he's never stopped playing. And one of the things he's done is he's done like a lot of cover bands to pay the bills a lot of ways. But when he does his original music, you can see the difference where, in terms of the cover band, all these people are really good musicians. They give you get your money's worth. But when they do their own songs, there's that passion.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
And I see that on shows I go out to.
Yeah. You really. I mean, I think for a lot of people, that's for me. I guess I'm speaking for myself. Was really an expression of myself, but it took a long time for me to figure out how to do it and how to say it. And once you do, and then once you get a good band to be able to play your songs behind you, there's nothing like it. I've been in 100 cover bands too, but I've always done originals, and it's and that is the key, and I think, will always be.
And cover
for us.
bands aren't a bad thing, and I think you can find your voice too, because it's like you start with something you like and you go from there.
Sure.
But I'm going to go to
Sure.
Greg. Did you just keep playing since you were in high school, or did you just stop and start playing, or did high school band get you to play, or whatever?
I started kind of
You've been around a lot too.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm glad the phone keeps ringing. I like to.
Well, I go out there. Oh, Greg's another band.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Well, but you know what? The bands don't compete around here. It's a nice big circle of people. Everybody supports each other, and that's a good thing. And Brian, I actually started playing back in high school, took lessons, at 11, 12 years old. So at Benson's Music, which is almost as old as Perperzi's.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I saw my teacher play, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then there was a kid down the street that had a Hammond organ, and we started playing. His dad made us play fake book stuff, like, I left my heart in San Francisco and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I started. And then I got into the rock and roll thing and had a band and actually played it at my high school for a high school dance while I was in high school.
It's like my joke. I call it
very exciting.
For this show. A lot of times I call it 6 Degrees of Rob, because I know all these different bands with different styles, and all of you. It is true. You know each other. You'll pop up on albums. Nobody's competing.
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe about a half a dozen years ago, there was definitely a shift in that vibe in Rochester. I mean, it could just be me making this up, I don't know, but I've noticed a lot more.
No, you're right, I think.
Yeah, people, wanting to do work with other people, share the stage, share the bills with them. It just seems like there's a much more closer knit community than there was. I don't know what the reason is, but
it's not advantageous to cut yourself off from people. This town's pretty small.
Yeah.
So
right.
if you start doing that, next thing you know, well, where's the crowd? Well, they went with band X because now you got them upset, or whatever.
Right,
So,
and you think about it, it's an addition to your fan base.
Sure.
Because if you join with somebody that has their own following, you have your own following, and you guys can cross
It
over.
works that way
all of
for
a
us
sudden,
who don't play either, where people will see me who know me because of the shows.
That's correct. And you could go see, X band, and I could be doing a special, guest appearance for one song or something, and then say, hey, that guy is kind of cool, and does he have a band? Blah blah blah, and then you check it out from there, and so there's a lot of cross.
Well, I could make the example about a month ago. So I saw Primetime Funk play for their anniversary show, and very professional, very very good. So Love and Cup. So I go see that. So I go to the Spirit Room next to see Straight Johnny and the Gash Goblins, where their CD is released between 2 pieces of bologna.
Oh my God.
So that's how the difference of music is.
Yeah, you just have those extremes, don't you?
the punk aesthetic.
Yes. Hey, whatever it takes, right?
One thing I always like to ask musicians too, in terms of equipment, because nobody asks you guys favorite equipment and stuff you like to use. Anything special, or just is it there you bang on it, or you play it, or is there something that gets a good sound for you?
Myself personally, I guess we can endorse some companies here, but I've always used Fender Telecasters for my electrics, and I use a Vox AC-15 that I've used for quite a while, and that's the sound that I've really as close as I can get to what I want. And I used a Gibson acoustic J45 for the acoustic shows, and I've had that for quite a while. So that's kind of fits my sound. Greg, he's got about 100 different drum sets, and so
well, they're for different types of situations, big rooms, small rooms, different snares. You don't want to have a big honking snare for a tiny room, so.
Not like the Spinal Tap drum, like the big metal drums where you spin around.
Right.
You hit with both hands and feet and get a couple extra arms to hit and everything.
But we are open to endorsements, Rob. So if anyone gives you a call,
if they would pay us
Fender
too, I wouldn't mind.
Or Gibson or Vox, any of those,
We'll take
be
a
happy
finder's fee.
Yeah, we'd
But
be
I always
happy
like that in fast because I know different sounds come from different things. Some people like what they like.
Sure.
They like.
Sure.
But one of the things I know, just from being involved a little bit in the music industry, not just from knowing people, we used to say albums back in the day.
Yep.
I'm old.
I still say it.
Sounded local. Some of you would hear me go, damn, this could be really good. But now I think everything sounds top notch, pretty good. And how was the recording process doing your first album? You look a little like Nick Cave here on The Crossing, I think.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You do, don't you?
Yeah. Back out to give a little plug for Tony Gross at GFI. I've been fortunate enough to make most of my records out there, and a wonderful studio. And obviously, Tony's a great guy, and he's a great writer and guitar player in his own right. And so, collaborative efforts and just a great vibe out there making records. And his studio just gets better and better all the time. He's always upgrading things, and it's just a wonderful vibe out there. Great to make records, and as they say, you find a good thing, you stick with it. And I've been making a lot of records out there since really, I don't know, late 80s. So.
But we have some, this is the Crossing album. We'll say a little about the albums you have here, the Crossing.
So, yeah, the Crossing, you better look at the date on the back of that, Rob. I'm going to say 2005 or 4.
2004.
Is that, okay, 2004. So, it was technically a solo record for me. I was in between bands, but I had the opportunity to make a record out of GFI, and so I picked a bunch of guys that I played with over the years and put together a band just for the record, which is, maybe a little bit odd. And made a solo record, and actually,
You're like Boston, where Tom Schultz is pretty much, that's a fake band. He just brought everybody into play.
Yeah, perhaps, but these are all guys that I have played with over the years.
It happens a lot more than you think.
And
Not to us.
And it worked out great, and I did something similar to that on the second record, which was called Esperanza. Similar to that, I had a bunch of friends come in and do parts on that, and were lent their time, and I didn't really have to pay anybody. They were all willing to come in and play their parts, and they're all excellent musicians. So yeah, it was great.
I'll come and play if you just turn the mic off and the sound.
Yeah, anytime, bro.
I'll sing on the instrumentals.
Sure.
Confidence, man.
I promote, I don't play.
And then
I'll play on the a cappella songs.
yeah. And then the last one here in just a couple years ago,
Which I own all these, but I never even, to be honest, I never noticed the title. I just saw Brian Lindsay on it. I never noticed the funny words under it.
Monkey, the Tango, and the Boogaloo.
That's probably why.
And
Great title.
that was more of a band thing. So yeah, I was playing with those guys at that time. So and that it felt, I think, if you listen to the record, it might feel more like a band performance. So. It's different, apples and oranges, I guess, how
but
you
Esperanza
do it.
is the song where I think at Frank's show, I was driving home on Sunday night, and I heard it on the radio. And I just love that vibe of hearing like a band like that on the radio, and it's like I heard the song.
Thank you, yeah. So
I can see you, Esperanza. I won't butcher it.
And we get, we still get a lot of airplay. I get people, come up to me all the time, and they say, I heard your song on the radio last week. Someone played East Side of the River, and the week before that, someone said they played something off the Monkey the Tango. I think it was the Bully, and so yeah, it's great. And
Greg Townsend told me that when they were in Spain, and you hear there's a High Rise song on the radio in Spain, and you go, wow.
Oh, that's pretty cool, right? Yeah. Greg Townsend, awesome guy, and obviously
amazing.
Musician.
So busy too. He's like, I think they're just off in Spain now, and then don't tell anybody he's the masked man in Low Street Chick.
Right.
Oh yes.
Shh. Spoilers.
Mm-hmm. And I know you play a lot of gigs, and we'll be able to. Everybody's got to come out and see you somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, well, we're actually, this is being recorded on Saturday, the June 29th, and we're playing tonight at the B-side in Fairport.
And we'll put that up on our site.
Yeah. So by the time you hear this, it'll already have come and gone, but
unless
the link
he's
will have
playing
been
a
there.
marathon and he's still playing.
And we were really good.
Yeah,
they're really
we had a great
good.
performance. Packed,
Awesome
sold it
show.
out.
I actually do
Packed
that.
to the rafters. Couldn't get anybody else
I have
in the
my
building.
OCD a little bit where I have to say hi to everybody I know. And I saw my friend Mikhail play in Lincoln Farms, and I knew I wasn't going to see her afterwards because I had to go. So I wrote her a message saying, "You and the guys were awesome."
Yeah.
But I'll put a couple other quick dates. I'll throw them out there. July 13th, we're at a place called the Bayside Pub in Webster.
It's on the bottom of a hill.
It's it's kind of on the bottom
Is
of
it
the hill.
by
It's
the
right
bay?
on the
side of the bay?
right on the water.
Okay, makes sense.
Bayside, G.
which is cool. Unfortunately, the water's so high. We already had a show scheduled last month that got canceled because of the
that's right.
high water. but hopefully by July 13th it'll be down, and there's plenty of room to set up the stage.
You
and
go
all that.
outside, right?
We'll be outside. That's the beauty. And I actually have a house on Irondequoit Bay, so I take my boat to the gig, which is the only gig I can do that way. So
That's rock
That's
star.
awesome.
That is cool.
That's rock star. Right
I
there.
like it. I like it. And there are people ask me, why do you play at the Bayside? Oh, and I go, 'cause
I
can
thought
take my
of a
boat to
tour. You have to go down like the river and then just stop at bars. I'm like, go to Sodas and just stop and start playing.
It makes the breaks a lot more fun to be on the boat.
Yeah, right. And then a big show we got coming up. We're playing at the Seneca Park Zoo Brew Fest, and that's July 19th. That's the first time we played at the Zoo Brew, so that ought to be really that ought to be a gas. That's July 19th. It's for their happy hour Zoo Brew, and those are.
We'll put all these dates up for
yeah.
you too.
And then I'll throw one other one out. We're out at Marge's Lakeside Inn on July 26th.
I enjoyed that.
And we're playing our debut there as well. So
You have to go. Marge's in the summer back there's something special. It's like
It is.
everybody getting down there. The parking's not special. Sometimes
Party's
you
not
can-
special, but once you get to the
you
beach,
get there, it's just you get down there and it's something. It's summer. It's like a little piece of tiki bar,
and
Florida.
you put your
here.
toes,
Right.
you can put your feet in the sand, which where else are you going to do
Well, I
that?
tend to sit up and by the band so I don't burn because I burn.
Yeah,
but I
right.
do it.
Well, but it's one of those bars where you can
You
take
got to
your
go.
shoes
They're
off
all
and
really
you can walk,
nice.
walk
Everybody's
around.
really nice there.
Yeah.
And but you played Lilac Festival too. I know.
Played Lilac Festival a bunch of times. Let's see. I'm trying to think. In the past, we've opened up for the Smithereens one time.
Oh, bless Pat.
Southside Johnny. And with your brother, Mark Schwartz, played with us Lilac Fest one time. I can't remember who we opened up for.
Do you open? I didn't even know you opened up for things. I thought you just played during the day there, like your schedule. You do open there. I'm just saying, just out of curiosity, because I just thought there were slots you played at.
Yeah, there are, but sometimes we've some of the usually there's a headliner at the end of the show. So I mean, I'm just throwing out some of the ones that I thought were the best times that we've had, and special. And I know the one we did with open for the Smithereens, we went on right before them. Beautiful summer night, and it was just one of
They're
those
a
magical.
band. I saw them in Manhattan Squares last time I saw
saw
Pat
that
when
show, too.
Presley
Me too.
passed away, and I
Yes.
was talking to him. And I remember some guy going to us because he's tell him to go to Dinosaur Barbecue. I said,
Yeah.
whatever. But we were talking about stuff and everything, and he's a very nice guy. And,
Yeah.
and I remember when he worked with Suzanne Vega. And I just remember that because they were, I think they were roadies for Suzanne Vega for a while. But the thing about the Smithereens, they say everybody likes Smithereens. I don't think there's any person, maybe it's not your favorite, nobody dislikes Smithereens.
I loved them. They were great songwriters, in my opinion, and a great singer.
Yeah,
and
the
just,
production
I love
was
his voice, his
Yes,
soul album.
yes.
He's got that melodic voice.
yes, beautiful.
That was one of the last gigs the Flat Tops did too. Fred
Yeah.
played with the Flat.
Well, I didn't see them because I got lost walking
Yeah.
down there. But
Yeah, it was a really good show of both bands
Was that it?
at the Party in the Park
yeah,
thing.
Manhattan Square it was called then. I think this was at Martin
Yeah.
Luther King
Oh,
Park
okay.
now.
Yeah, but
But I got lost walking down there, so I got there a little late.
Actually, I have something. You're talking about all the venues. And this is something we haven't asked any musician, but I think I'm going to start the trend. If you could play any venue in the world, what would be like your white whale
My
venue?
backyard.
Yeah.
Red Rocks.
After my backyard,
Rob's house. I have no idea where it
the
is.
squirrels will get you when you can play on the deck.
Red Rocks.
Red Rock sounds good, Greg. I actually just I was looking at that the other day. I was looking at some pictures from there. That looks like a pretty cool.
Would you ever like to play like Levon Helm's house? He does like
Sure.
this thing.
Oh, the barn
Because John
thing.
Prine plays there, and it just would be neat to go to a little, maybe something like that too would be kind of neat.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we do have Barn Bash in Farmington.
You know,
Beavers.
One of the funniest gigs, one of my friends, the American Moondogs, played a gig. They played at the Tractor Pull Festival after the Tractor Pull.
Oh,
Right.
God, can you imagine the crowd?
Yeah.
Wow,
I don't know
yeah.
if you've ever been to a tractor pull, but
He said it's great.
you could
He said
probably
have to.
you
It's-
could
I
probably
own
play
it.
as loud as you want because they'd all be their ears
Yeah.
would be shot from the tractor pulls.
But
right?
so Red Rocks, huh?
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. I'll take that with
Beautiful.
Greg.
Yeah, I've seen
So
pictures
if you got
of
any,
it.
you got any
go.
connections out there?
I do actually. Kevin
Yeah.
J. Anderson, the writer, lives out there, and he'll put pictures up. But otherwise, I don't think he can book bands. But if you have, I always ask one of my questions. I ask, you have any interesting stories from gigs, like funny, amusing?
Photoshop
stands out?
Funny, interesting
Anything you
stories from
want,
gigs,
like
sure.
something that happened at a show or something that was like, what the heck, or just stands out?
You know, a lot of things where, you know, an amp will blow up in the middle of your set, and that's, you know, it's funny for some people, but if you're on stage, it's not funny, really.
I've seen the case of the broken guitar strings. Literally, for one band at the Penny Arcade, one of my friends had to run to his house to get a bass for him because his strings fell out.
I put a pedal through a bass drum head once in a gig in Arizona.
So Spinal Tap holes for all you guys.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, you know, a lot. Greg and I, we played a gig where the PA systems kind of started smoking halfway through the thing, and I think we had to stop the.
I had to run back and get another one.
We stopped the performance. It was
This
an
is an
outside
acoustic
show.
performance.
You know, and go get another PA head, and you know, things like that. But
Can I tell a really quick one?
Sure,
This is a
absolutely.
really weird story.
It's fine. That's what we're here for.
I was doing this gig out at Sodas Point there at Papa Joe's, I think
on
it was.
the on
yeah,
the
the one on the beach,
flatbed?
right on the
Yeah.
beach.
I
You had to
did-
ride
I
your
did the-
boat to that one, man.
On the flatbed, I've done
Yeah.
many of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know how next door there's the bait shop and the tackle
Mm-hmm.
shop, right? Okay, so this guy's walking through there. This is a true story. The guy's walking through there with his kids and his family and wife, and he's got his fishing poles, and he's walking through the little alley thing. And for however it happened, I was so far back on the flatbed, the hook of his pole caught my shirt. So
They caught a drummer.
but
Throwback.
I didn't realize it. So I'm playing and I'm being jerked around, and I'm like, what the heck is, you know, I look back and there's this guy, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he bought me a T-shirt to make up for it.
guy's like,
That
this
was
one's a
probably the
fighter.
weirdest thing that-
It's probably it's the best catch he had all day.
You should have seen
drummer
the drummer
fish.
the drummer was this
That's a
big.
fish story.
Yeah,
You're
right.
lying.
Yeah,
You're
he's
lying.
puny, throw him back.
My claim to fame was I met Tom Petty's German Shepherd. I never met Tom Petty,
wow.
but I had backstage for his
Nice.
Full Moon Fever. He brought his dog to the show, so I met Tom Petty's German Shepherd, not him.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, you know.
Weird things happen, though.
Yeah, crazy things happen, and that's the beauty of the live show, you know? I mean, that's why you do it. You never know what's going to happen. It's live. So, you know, wacky things happens.
And you switch it around.
in the
and
middle
you
of a
get these
performance,
shows.
wacky things can
Yeah.
happen. And it's kind of, you know it's coming. You know, tonight something will probably wacky happen. Now, knock on wood here, something major doesn't happen. But you know, but that's why you do it, and that's what makes it exciting because, you know, you're with the audience. The audience, you know, knows that that's possible too, and you know, you try to get some feedback from the audience, and you know, there's always someone in the audience that's, you know.
Freebird!
Yeah, that'll speak up and say stuff, and you kind of work with them. And
I wish that guy would quit coming to shows.
I get so tired
Yeah,
of
it's just that
hearing
one guy, he
that.
floats around the country.
yeah,
I just get tired of it myself.
Yeah.
Like Freebirds. A couple of bands I know start playing a couple things. But I remember the Ryan Adams made the best comment about it. Somebody yelled Freebird, and he stopped. I thought, oh, is he going to go off the show? He goes, that would have been more relevant in the 1970s if someone was still alive.
yeah, right.
You don't mess with Ryan. He's got some issues.
Yeah, no. We too take requests though. We've certainly done plenty of off the cuff requests, and you know, that's a lot of fun doing that too. You know,
Nobody will do for me September Girls by Big Star, though, because I've told Greg to do it. Townsend, not you. You don't sing.
No.
And-
I
He
sing.
sings.
Oh, a little bit. But he said, I tried to sing. I can't hit the notes. Well, tell Chilton what he wants.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, I want to circle back for 1 second. Like you were talking about covers versus your own material. But I think, I mean, when you have to learn a lot of covers, you kind of get the idea of how songs are written.
yeah.
And then you kind of, I think inherently you kind of osmosis, you know, you start, well, here's how the hooks should be, or here's how they should, you know, how many verses, how many, you know, things like that. And I think, you know, you learn a lot from doing all
You
that.
do. It's like writing. They tell you to pick somebody like, say, Ray Bradbury and write like him, and they get your own style because you see how it's done.
Right.
And I think also some of these songs, they're covers, they're around because they're really, really good songs.
Well, it's a
And
thing
they're really fun to play. I have my little list, like if I could actually play, of songs I would love to do.
Sure.
Well, that's the thing. If you think about, if somebody does a cover of a song, it means that song meant something to them.
That's right.
Right.
And it impacted them in such a way that they wanted to put their own version
Spin
of it
on
out
it.
there.
Absolutely.
And I think you get people, a lot of people like the familiar, and you draw people in because they come to hear that, but they're like, wow, this guy's stuff's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Well, when you bring in a new song, there's definitely a pattern or a style to the, you know, the way the songs are put together because it's your style. And then, you know, we start knocking it around and tweaking it and all that. But it's like it always has a very core style, which is you. it's your style, and that's what I like about it, because the songs are. It's like Pete Townsend made a comment once, make another album just like that, only different, type of thing,
That seems
but
right.
that's part of the game is you have to write the same song kind of over and over, a la AC/DC. Somehow they do it, 150,000 permutations on 4 chords.
Yeah, and they do, because AC/DC is a good one to mention, because it really is. It's sort of that 4. It's like the blues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they're really good,
Sure.
but they are the 4. Yeah, that's
Right. But there's a lot that
Captain
does go
Beefheart,
into it.
The rhythms and all that.
There's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes that you
Sure.
you don't quite see. It's not, again, back to what I was saying before. I'm kind of a grinder. When I come up with something, man, it's a grind for me. I just write it, I type it up, I go practice it, I rewrite it, type it back up, and it goes on and on and on until I'm finally really happy with almost 99%. Then I say okay.
And
But,
now, too, there's the Rochester rule about playing in bands. So, Greg, you do a lot of different things. And I say you know a few bands. I mean, there's some other stuff you do, too. So,
Right. Well, I've always been that way. I mean, in school, I went to Nazareth for music ed.
I'm still waiting to see somebody play one day and play the song from a different band when they're playing. Because there's so many different people. Like,
Well-
wow, how many bands are you in? It's like, I'm going to have, if I ever do an album, I'm going to get Katie Preston and Sam Snyder to play, because they play in everything anyways.
When there's similar songs from a couple different bands every now and then. Wait, how do they end this one? Is they end it this way, or they end it the way the other guys play?
Then you hear from
What band am I in?
then you hear from the crowd, the Freebird guy, wrong band.
It's like Roger Daltrey.
I hate that guy.
Last time I saw the Who, they were playing in Canada Day. We're in Roger Daltrey. Said it's great to be back in Rochester.
Yeah. It happens.
Hello, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Philly.
It happens. I was watching the Rolling Stones just started their tour again in
Now
Chicago.
Mixed Better?
Yeah, they just started it
Here, I
last
thought Keith
Friday.
was the one.
And then
Right.
last Friday, and then I think Tuesday this week was their second show. So you can go on YouTube and see all the videos and
Yeah,
all that.
it's
I'm a
amazing.
big fan of the Stones. So I was watching some of the videos. I don't know, it was the night before last, and they went into what was it? I'm going to say Midnight Rambler.
Yeah.
Keith started the song in the wrong key. Mick was trying to sing the song, and he was totally struggling with it, and he's going like this, And finally he looks up, he goes, wrong key, and then they go, yeah. They stop it, and then Ronnie comes up and goes, we weren't even supposed to play that song. We were supposed to play this song. So they go into a completely different
Because
song.
I've always heard the way they do it is Charlie will kick it off, and then Keith will go. That's what I've heard. This whole thing is like, when they're going to play, he'll look at Charlie. Charlie will start, then Keith will go. But
Yeah, Keith counts a lot of them in, but he somehow it was crazy. Right in the Midnight Rambler, wrong key. Jagger was like going, what? It was hilarious, really.
Keith, what do you want?
And
today?
then Ronnie comes over. We're not even supposed to be playing Midnight Rambler. We're supposed to be playing this song. So then they did that other song. Then they did Midnight Rambler in the right key, and I crushed it.
It's
but
the Stones.
but
still.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fun to
I'll have
watch
to
that.
check that out.
Yeah,
But
it's
we
good.
have to do. This has been really cool, and we got to see your gigs and stuff.
Come
and
out.
everything.
Well,
There's
where
lots of gigs. That would be
Before we forget, where can people
we want to
find the
do
dates
some
of the
plugging
shows?
here.
Absolutely. So there's BrianLindsay.net, and it's my last name is spelled Lindsay. A lot of people get put the E in there instead of the A. So BrianLindsay.net, or the famous Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page, Brian Lindsay Band. All the dates are on there as well.
And like it.
Like the page.
Like the page, and
We
then you'll
command
be
it.
up to date. Yeah, any show. But either of those two are probably the most popular. There's a bunch of dates. We're very busy this summer, and
It's a good time to come out, especially those outdoor shows.
Oh, I love
But I
it.
got to
Those
say,
are
you
the
go to the
best.
Bayside, don't ever have them before you play. But if you're into, they have these things called straight hot wings there, where
Oh,
they
yeah.
pour habanero sauce on them. Don't
Yeah.
ever do this before,
No.
and make sure you don't go anywhere the next day because you'll have to go to the bathroom.
right.
And
One of
wash
my
your
friends
hands
made a
before you go to
mistake.
the
He calls
bathroom.
me and goes, "I was in Home Depot and I had to run." Well, they have toilets there, so
Yeah.
And anything for you out there?
That's
Like,
a
They
good
sell,
plug.
they sell plungers. That's good.
yeah, anything for you out there, like for gigs? Anything you want to talk about? Plugs, anything?
Me?
Hair plugs? I just look for this guy. He's in a lot of bands. See him play.
I just like variety. I always have. I don't want to really, this is more about what
Yeah.
we're doing with the Brian Lindsay Band. But I've got a
He's
couple.
around. He's in a lot of stuff. You'll see him whether you like
Like
it
I
or
said,
not.
go see a show in Rochester. You might see him.
Yeah, I'll be
Yes.
around.
Yeah. you'll run into Greg. Just go out to a club and you'll run into him.
If you go to Tommy Burnett's birthday bash on the 28th of July, I'll be in the back.
I do like Iron Smoke.
so
I do
there,
admit
I'll
I
be
love
there.
shows at Iron Smoke.
Yeah,
After I found
yep.
the damn place.
And Brian will be there jamming too.
Yep.
Probably, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's very cool. And now you have to talk about. We're going to have a treat for the second time. We're going to have you play. We're going to have somebody play a song. On here.
Yeah.
And then we're going to play this track, Lone Wolf Zero. And you got to talk. This is kind of special. Your new release.
It is. Yes. Thanks, Rob. So there's a little bit of a backstory on this song. A couple years ago, I took the trip to Amsterdam, and flew into Amsterdam. Spent a couple days there, and then we took this. There's a high-speed train that runs from Amsterdam to Paris.
Oh, the one in Europe, not the one in upstate New York. Then with
No,
the Pro
no.
Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's
Former-
I just want
formerly.
to make sure.
Correct. Amsterdam to Paris.
Texas.
The train goes like 100 miles an hour across the countryside. It's really an amazing thing, and you sit back and watch the old Dutch windmills and all that fly by at 100 miles an hour. It's pretty cool. So that was a really cool experience. Came home, was watching the late night news one night, and I saw that a terrorist tried to take over that train. And it's a small train, even though the thing goes 100 miles an hour. It's not that big of a train. A terrorist tried to take over the train with a rifle and obviously wreak havoc and do serious damage. And fortunately for the folks that were on that train at the time, there was 3 American servicemen, and basically before anyone got shot, I think one shot got off and it went through a window, and the bullet was flying, but the 3 servicemen basically tackled the guy, put him on the floor, held him until the authorities came, and basically thwarted what could have been a pretty bad thing. So I'm like, wow, man, I was on that train, and I know how small it was, and how bad it could have went. So I don't know. I guess felt compelled to write a song about it, and wrote a song about it, and ended up being called Lone Wolf Zero. And the funny thing about it was, after I wrote that, we were going to record it and all that. One of those Hollywood type guys, what's his name? Clint
Eastwood.
Oh yeah, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, that guy.
Wrote a movie about it.
The orangutan said. Clyde said, this would be a good idea.
Left turn, Clyde.
So I think it was
Black widows are
called.
girl spiders.
I think it was called 5:15 to Paris or something.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay. So anyway, he put a movie out, but our political affiliations are completely different. Mine from Eastwood's. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, he didn't call me and say, "Hey, you want to put this song in my movie?" I said, "Okay, whatever." But so we kind of got a kick out of that and got a lot of mileage out of dropping his name and
Right.
for shows and all that. But
Would have been perfect.
so long story short, Rob, we put the single out, and we decided to sell it as a single at the shows for whatever, $1, $5, $10. Any money for that singles goes to the Veterans Outreach Center. So we just tell people at the shows, you throw in $1 or $5 or whatever it is, take the single, and we're going to donate that.
Give 1, give 5, give them your car.
Yeah,
Right.
and we donate it to the Veterans Outreach Center.
It's very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
We're going to hear this song after, but you're going to
Sure.
bring us this. You don't have to hear us 2 idiots tonight say bye.
We're
But you
bowing
guys,
out.
thanks a lot for coming down, and you're
We had a
welcome.
riot. Thanks, Zach.
And you are
Hey,
welcome.
thank you.
to
Appreciate
come
it,
down
man.
anytime.
Talking to you.
That's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
Thanks, Rob.
And
Appreciate
we're
it.
going to have you play,
you.
and then we're going to play Lone Wolf Zero after you play your cut and end this song on a high note instead of us babbling.
Agreed.
So thanks a lot. And
Bad-
Stay tuned for good music and look at the links.
yep.
All right, it's a song called King of the Mountain. Two boys standing at the bottom of the hill, staring at the top looking for a thrill. One said ready and the other said run. Shadow flying from the started gun. Well, I guess you know how the race begun, playing king of the mountain. King of the mountain. Come on, coach, when you gonna put me in? It ain't too late, I know how to win. We could teach these boys a lesson for fun. If you're looking for a hero, you just found one. Well, my daddy said that it ain't no sin playing king of the mountain. King of the mountain. It's a long way home from New York City, down on Wall Street sucking on the money. New Jack said I got a brand new plan, different from the old boys club scam. This way I know somebody who wins, playing king of the mountain. I'm just a man who believes in the end you can't take out what you don't put in. Playing king of the mountain. King of the mountain. King of the mountain. King of the mountain. Bam ba 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 bam ba bam ba 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 bam ba. I'm just a man who believes in the end you can't take out what you don't put in. I'm just a man who believes in the end you can't take out what you put in. I'm just a man who believes in the end you can't take out what you don't put in. I'm just a man who believes in the end you can't take out what you don't put in. Tracks in a high-speed train. Me and my brothers from school taking in the sights. When a gunshot echoed off the train carriage walls, broken glass come tumbling to the floor. Train conductor running for his life. Train whistle wails, train keeps rolling on. Lone wolf comes busting to the door, pointing an AK-47, cocking it, chewing the rifle jams. Somebody yelled out, "Go, Spencer, go!" He grabbed that man and took him to the floor. Lone wolf, zero, me, Uncle Sam. Train whistle wail,
fresh from Amsterdam, rolling on the tracks in a high-speed train. Me and my brothers from school taking in the sights. Train whistle wails, train keeps rolling.